I'm Lisa Bonis, and this is Mind Yourself. This week, my guest is Kundalini expert Raja Choudhury, and our topic today is mantras and karma and curses. Oh my. Raja Choudhury is one of the Shift Network's favorite instructors with his courses on Kundalini awakening and opening your third eye. He aims to disrupt human consciousness and awaken each of us to our true evolutionary potential using his deep knowledge of Kundalini Shakti, Tantra, and Kriya Yoga. In a personal quest of over 20 years, Raja has comparatively explored most of the great and some of the unknown wisdom traditions of the world and has experienced many teachings and transformative methodologies firsthand. So, without any further ado, let's get rolling. Raja, it's great to see you today. Thank you for joining me. This is
great. Nice to be here with you, and congratulations on starting your own program. I love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I think we're going to have a really fun conversation. You and I have been working together for quite a while now. What is it, going on 2 years-ish?
Oh, yeah. 1.5 years at least, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. So between your Shift Network, Awakening Your Kundalini courses and your courses in Shakti and all of the many things that you teach, I've learned a lot of really life-changing practices, but the one I want to talk about today resulted from something that you said a few weeks ago. You were talking about the power of sound and mantras, and you said, and this was so good, I actually wrote it down, every word I utter is a mantra. And that's what I want to focus on today. You spelled it out so beautifully, how it's not just when we're deliberately doing affirmations or whatever it is we call it when we're asking God or whatever we call it to give us what we want. It's with every word, every breath that we're creating. And we need to be aware of that. So let's talk about that.
Well, I mean, it comes from the premise that the universe that I am a part of, that you are a part of, are completely a construct of me, my mind. And, while that might sound very esoteric, what it simply means is that if I could not perceive everything and hear everything and smell everything and feel everything, I could not construct a vision of the universe, that of you, of anything. And so the only thing that I have control over, and this is the real secret, the only thing I have control over are my thoughts and my actions. That means I can't control your thoughts and actions. I can't control whether a bus is going to zoom by and hit me. I can't control any of that. But what I can control is the next thought I have, and is the next what I do about that. So the issue is that the sacred thinking behind this, in whether you do it in Tantra or Hermeticism or Kabbalah or any of the esoteric practices, is that the original thought that created the universe was sound. And this has been shown in quantum physics also now, that sound creates everything. Before there is light, light is just stars burning away and dying. What if the first thing that happens is sound? And so it then goes back to, if sound creates everything, then my entire reality is dependent on the sounds I create. So if I am negative, if I'm angry, if I'm whatever, then I'm letting out mantras just in those thoughts and words that are coming out of my mouth. And my reality changes. Everything changes for me. So it's not just about mantras. It is the elemental nature of sound to create reality. That means that the next thing you say is going to ripple through the entire energy cosmos and affect things. So do you realize what you're saying and where it's coming from?
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about what is a mantra for people who, maybe they've heard the word, maybe they're into the Beatles and they knew that the Beatles were into mantras, but they really don't even know, what does that word even mean?
Well, there's an ancient belief that and this is not just from India, that special sounds have magical properties. That means that if I chant Om or Amen or Allahu Akbar or Abracadabra, there's a quality to it, a vibration that has properties. So a mantra, and the entire Sanskrit language is built on sound, 50 sounds in total. Mantras are a combination of those sounds to create magical sounds. And magical here meaning mind altering, thought altering, reality altering sounds. So that means that, for example, if I was to chant a mantra, so if I said something positive, for example, like Silva and all taught, which was every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Okay, I get it. I feel it. I understand it. But I had to ram it into my software programming over and over again before it becomes some kind of reality for me. Well, mantra is something else. Mantra has very little meaning, but the sounds have a power and they come out of your throat and you create them like a bubble of thought. And a mantra is a sound that has a particular energy, a particular frequency, and has properties. Now, the Indians gave it properties like goddesses and Shaktis and energy and all that kind of property. But really, it changes reality. So if I chant a mantra, I'll give you an example, like Shreem, which is my favorite one. If I just chant Shreem, and you listen to it for 3 times, you will start feeling a new energy in you. Shreem, Shreem, Shreem. Now, just with those 3 sounds, I affected your consciousness. That means that part of you kind of started vibrating at a different frequency. Part of you started feeling it in the body in some way. Normally you feel it around the heart or around the back of your throat here or around your spinal cord. And that sound, if you do it long enough, begins to make you feel good, begins to attract energy, begins to make you feel well, attract beautiful things towards you. Now, this is the magic of these kind of sounds. So a mantra is a composite sound made up of Sanskrit letters that always tend to have a consonant at the beginning, like sh, k, la, all those kind of consonants. It has a vowel in the middle, e, u, all those kind of sounds. And then it ends with the visarga, or an and you have it in Tibetan Buddhism, you have it in Hinduism, you have it in Tantra, you have it in yoga. All these use this methodology to create magical sounds.
Okay. So, well, since you brought that up, let's go ahead and dive into that a little bit. I know that many people aren't going to be aware of the words that we're talking about, but for example, there's shreem, cream, hreem. How does the construction of these words that sound very similar, how does the construction actually change their meaning?
So just think that for, thousands of years since we developed vocal cords, ancient shamans and mystics and rishis and yogis have been practicing and experimenting with sound to see what happens. Now, obviously, sound that has meaning, like that rock is near water, that has purpose, that has a function, right? That means that I am creating a pattern of sound to describe a place, an action, and a benefit to all of us in some way. Now, you can imagine language arising from that. But then the shamanic thinking was that if I play around with sounds, can I alter my reality? So, and they started playing around with these sounds, especially consonant, vowels, and finishing, how to finish them. And they started seeing that energy would change. So you can imagine that I have been experimenting on this for over 20 years. And if I chant a particular seed sound, seed means bead sound, these core sounds like shreem, cream, hreem. These are core beats. They're called seed sounds. Now, then you, of course, you have these big mantras like Om Namah Shivaya or, prayers or whatever. Those are composite mantras, right? They combine all these sounds to give meaning. It's the same as saying that rock is where water is. You're saying by putting this composition together, I can attract energy into my life and heal myself. I can become a better person. I can become steady and protected so nobody can hurt me. I can heal my stomach. I can give love. I can attract energy. I can attract abundance. So these composite mantras have the power to do that. So what you get is that the experiments early on showed that certain sounds affect certain parts of the body. And this is what we call the Kundalini system, the chakras. You've heard of the chakras, and you've heard of 7 main centers in the body, and then we have 108 points where this energy can work. They found a correlationship between sounds and your body. And so if I utter a particular sound, let's say Hreem, H-R-E-E-M, Hreem, I start to attract light and energy in my head. It relieves me of stress in my head. It brings energy into me. It brings power into me. And I suddenly start feeling very energetic. If I chant Shreem, it's a more gentle energy. It's a loving energy. It's an attracting energy. It's a gentler energy. If I say Cream, it's a very powerful energy. It has the power to block and stop. So what happened was that they started giving these sounds and values properties, and they call them Shaktis or goddesses. And this is where the concept of goddess comes from, is that sounds that manifest these energies and affect my body and affect everything around me are these powers we call Shaktis or goddesses. And you can imagine how many thousands of years of testing they were doing on themselves to figure it out, But another thing they figured out, which became very important in yoga and other practices, was that it was best to shut up when not chanting properly. because the problem is that we talk a lot of crap. And when we talk, we're mantras, we're chanting, but we're doing chanting that has a power that we have no control over. I hate you. I hate God. Can you imagine what that flow of energy must be like that comes out with that? Or I really don't like how you do that. Now, in the ancient terms, they went really far and described that as being cursed. So you would be, if you chanted an utterance with that power, it became a curse. If it became from a higher state of consciousness, it was a blessing. And you can see how religions evolved with this and developed into, I saw a lovely thing once that said that the original Christian Catholic chanting was done in Latin, right? In Latin, and even before that in Greek. Now, when they were developed in Greek and Latin, they had a power. When they were translated to English, did we lose the magic? That's the question, right? So this is the great issue of language and meaning and sound and how it works,
Well, there's so many different directions we could take this because you've said a lot of really interesting things there. Let's start first. Let's rewind furthest to, you mentioned that there are 108 points in the body, and there are also, coincidentally, 108 beads in the mala. What is the significance for the number 108?
So, any churches of Mary will ring the bell 108 times on a Sunday. This is not a sacred number only in the Indian esoteric system. It's a sacred number in Buddhism, in Christianity, in Islam as well. It's an ancient number that adds up to the number 9. And the number 9 became a very sacred number because multiples of 3, multiples of 9, if you look across all religions, you see, and even what I just described, a Bij mantra, it has 3 parts, a consonant, a vowel, and an ending that it dilutes into nothing, right? So this idea of 3 comes from a very esoteric concept, which means that in order for something has to be born, something lives, and then something dies. It's the 3-part story of the hero's journey. It's, you got to rise, you got to fall. You're going to create, and this is entire universe comes into being over and over again with this cycle of 3. It's like there is this, so I went, I'm alive. Ooh, I'm staying alive, and I'm dying now. And it's like, so this number 3 became very sacred. And if you look at it throughout religions, you'll see, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, Shiva, Shakti, and the singularity, and Brahman, you get this triangle forming that 1 becomes 2, and 2 become the many. Now, so if you take that concept further, 1 becomes 2, so we get masculine, feminine. 2, that's 3 right there. Then we multiply. That becomes the 9. That becomes the 27, the 108. We keep going in multiples of these 3s. And we start seeing that the number 3 plays a sacred role in all religions, because it is about the dualities in my life dissolving into a singularity, And this is a very powerful idea, because it implies that God is one, but I see the world as dualities. And so I'm trying to reconcile them. So this number 108 was a very sacred number for that reason, and it has other meanings as well. And for example, it is the number of years it takes to move through 1 degree of what is called precession on the cosmos. So that means, if you think about it, I don't know if you know about this theory, but the Earth wobbles a little bit. And every 2,650 years, it does a full wobble. So if you see the sun rising in the east, you will see a star sign for about 2,600 years. Like right now we're finishing Pisces and we're moving into Aquarius, right? That's how you get the age we're in. Pisces, now Aquarius. So Jesus was the Piscean, and Aquarius is now what we're coming into, right? That means for the next 2,600 years, the sun will rise in Aquarius. It takes 108 years to go through 1 degree of that, every degree. So you can imagine how much studying the ancients were doing on the stars and the body and Then they said that whatever we see out there must be also in us. And this concept of what is called correspondence, which is as above, so below. And as below, so above. And they felt, okay, that I have these 7 main points in my body, and they form 108 different forms in the body, right? And this was a very elaborate concept that we now know as Kundalini and the system of Kundalini Shakti, which is what I teach. And the idea was that these are energy points in your body that are energy centers that can be triggered by sound and by breath and can heal you, can get you power, can do things for you, and also open up the divine gateway here at the triangle here, so you can go towards God. This is the beauty of the 108 and the 9 and the 3.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for explaining that. Now, one of the other tracks I wanted to go off on, you mentioned the word curse, which always perks my interest. Long story. I've explained it in other places. But let's talk about that for a minute, because I think there are many schools of thoughts. Some people, they don't believe that curses are possible. They hear that word and they go, oh, it only works if you believe in it. Well, if you don't know about it, it doesn't really matter. But let's remove that word, and let me give you an example of how I learn to not do this kind of thing? This is when I was much younger. I'm more mature now. I don't do this anymore. But I remember
I
one time
believe you. I believe you.
I was angry at a coworker for doing whatever it was, and I was bitching to my boss, basically gossiping about this person. And not even thinking about whether I was doing any harm. I was just venting. And then after I was done dumping out all of this bile, my boss responded with, well, maybe we ought to fire her. And I realized, oh, I have to be much more careful about what I say and why. And in essence, I cursed her.
Yeah.
That was a curse,
Yeah.
because that would have affected her life if I hadn't then said to my boss, you know what, please don't. I'm just complaining. It's not that bad. Thank God I had the presence of mind and the maturity, and I never did it again. But that, in essence, is what a curse can be. It can be unintentional, just complaining about somebody, and you've now unleashed this boulder rolling down a hill toward this person.
We don't have to go far to see it in action today. The world is cursing itself all the time. Republicans and Democrats, men and women, gender issues, and climate change. Everything is some kind of duality. That's, when I don't act. See, this is the concept of karma. All right. This is a very interesting way to bring karma into the story, because karma is the consequences of my actions, right? Karma literally means action. That means whatever I do, that's karma, all right? Now, if I do good stuff, that's good karma, right? If I do, eat crap, curse people, whatever, I'm accumulating bad karma, right? And the entire esoteric teaching is that there is a balancing that happens at the end of your life or during your life, that depending, and obviously if you've done a lot of good karma and you've burned away your bad karma, right, and you kind of let go of all your negativity and your luggage and your trauma and your crap and your curses, then you're freer to kind of go towards death at the end of your life in a more peaceful kind of way. Otherwise you're effed. Because you're going to get to life with colon cancer and constipation and ulcers and trauma and nobody being around you when you're dying. And you can see the karmic consequences of, you don't have to have an afterlife or a reincarnation to see karma in action. Mm-hmm. You don't have to believe in that to see karma in action. So the tantrics say, well, what if I was completely karma free? Right? Neither the bad karma nor the good karma, right? Could I be like that? Meaning light as a feather. Because if I do good karma, what happens sometimes? I get this kind of ego going that, oh God, I'm self-righteous and I'm spiritual and I'm so good and I'm doing so much good in the world. I must be wonderful, and you start to believe your own story. And that can accumulate into ego and other karmas of other kinds. So karma never stops playing this game on you, right? So the key is that the first step in any form of meditation is to learn to shut up. This is the key. And what does shut up mean? Meaning neither building good karma or bad karma. I'm just sitting in the middle watching this game go on. Now the game's going on and I'm killing bacteria by breathing them. I'm eating food and killing other bacteria and cellular things. Somebody is suffering to feed me. Somebody is doing something to bring electricity into my house. So I'm karmically bound in this bloody world. Unless I go live in a Himalayan cave and starve myself to death, I'm not going to be karma free, right? So the problem becomes is that how do I get karma free while living in the world? And they came up with a very simple and weird idea, which is to observe yourself. Not meditate, not go sit in beautiful, blissful karma and do nothing. No. To just observe. every breath, every thought, everything you're about to say from that stupid mouth of yours, everything you're about to do that's about to hurt somebody, everything. Am I observing myself before I F it all up and kill somebody, right? Because the consequence of your action would be that, let's go further. Let's say that person had been fired, and 20 years later, they remembered you with a curse of their own, right? And you forgot completely that you hurt them. You forgot, right? They meet you at the mall, they see you, and they start stalking you, and they hate you, and they remember you, and they curse you in front of your children, they abuse you, and maybe they've not forgiven you. Now, 20 years of karma just came back and bit you in the ass, right? And this is not, so the consequence doesn't happen then. A curse doesn't happen then. It happens like a ripple through time and space, right? So the less I cause bad karma, the happier my death is going to be. That's because I want to die well. I don't want to die miserable. And I want to live well. That means I can be living well karma free too.
And that's where we'll stop for today. You can check out Raja's website at rajachoudhury.com, and be sure to listen into part 2 next week when we get into the metaphysics of sound. And Raja will offer a set of 3 magical words that'll change your life. You'll find a link to Raja's website below, and while you're at it, leave your comments below too. Let's have a conversation. Until then, thanks for watching. See you next week.